I'm so happy and excited to be here today. You, me, and a few hundred of our closest friends, right?
Very intimate.
Yeah, it's very intimate. But really, so just to add on, I am the global client development lead for our partnership with Walmart from the trade desk, and I see overall that partnership across both the Walmart DSP that's coming out later, but more importantly, the day-to-day work that I do with my colleague and friend Jill Toscano, who is the vice president and head of media strategy at Walmart. She's a very busy woman, so I'm so excited that you've taken time out of your day to spend some time with us talking about a really exciting topic. But Jill oversees organic social, content and affiliate partnerships, and paid media and strategy. But today we're going to focus on social commerce and content commerce. And I would encourage everyone out there to put your pens down and to sit down and listen because Walmart's really doing some innovative things in this space that Jill's going to share a lot of details around. And I think, Jill, I thought it would be great today if maybe we could just start with you laying out a definition of how Walmart defines social commerce and content commerce. These are new buzzwords in the industry, and so it'd just be great to hear how you guys are defining those.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm happy to be here. Excited to talk to you, Laura. It's kind of like just chatting over lunch,
Yep,
which is nice.
very nice.
But I think probably we've you're right. We've tossed around content commerce, social commerce, like every sort of commerce that you could think about. And I think what helps a lot of the time is kind of like a real world example of maybe a mindset that we're trying to tap into.
Right.
And we've got a great real world example, which was back in March, which was the Harry and Meghan interview heard around the world when Oprah sat them down, and lots of people tuned in to hear some juicy things. But what we found is that people weren't only paying attention to the interview, but they were also paying attention to what they were sitting in. And so for anybody who wasn't paying attention, they were sitting in these great Cassia wood chairs that are sold at Walmart. Now, after that interview, those chairs sold out almost immediately. And I think what's incredible about this is that none of those 17 million viewers tuned in with the intent to do anything but to be, you know, learn a little bit of gossip, but about the royal family, let alone shop. But shop they did, and it's one of the things that to me exemplifies the power of the passive consumer. And it's the one that's not actively searching in a browser or actively searching, to buy something on our site. And this is the person where their mindset is open to discovery. And
Yeah.
when you combine that discovery with the ability to be impulsive, it is such a powerful combination. And so what we decided that we were going to define content commerce as is really something very simple, which is shortening the distance between inspiration and purchase.
Oh,
And this kind of experience, it does away with that kind of multi-step, lengthier sequence of product searching, researching, and really creates a more streamlined checkout process as well, so that you're not having to necessarily abandon the place where you might have found or discovered that key thing that you needed. To take it down to social commerce, I would say, this includes that social discovery, that's so easy nowadays. And in many cases, a more native call to action, like an add to cart or, a buy now functionality. And I think what's really interesting about this space is that these kind of micro moments of discovery are happening more and more in your social feed and through short form video that you're interacting with. And we've there's a great quote that Andreessen Horowitz, which is a venture capital firm, says, which is, today you can buy a high-end sweater, but tomorrow you can buy instant noodles. And that's what we're really talking about, right? Like it's the creation of what I like to call, like, I never knew I needed that, but now can't stop thinking about it phenomenon. And we've all
sure.
experienced we've all experienced that thing that we need now, but we had no intention of buying something when we entered into that experience. I think when you think about the definition of this, context plays a big role too. and the power of lifestyle content, and inspirational lifestyle content. And you see the power of that, especially over the course of the pandemic, when people were looking for escape, when people were looking for escape from what was happening, the unknown, and the scariness of what was happening, when people weren't able to travel anymore, and they still wanted to kind of satisfy their travel itch, right, in a quarantine state, or people who were spending a ton of time at home and took on a bunch of DIY projects because they realized that the home office that they created was probably not the most ideal space to work in. And so I say that with kind of, our intent here, which is to take Walmart and to take our relationship with our customers beyond sometimes what's just really an ad campaign that's speaking to you, and into a world where we can think about and predict what you might need and what your intent might be. And help you imagine the realm of the possible, from something as simple as as a recipe for what you're cooking for dinner, to something like creating a backyard pizza kitchen, which actually was a trending thing last year. And
Sure.
so that was a must have for some reason.
Yep.
But we believe that, at Walmart, we can play a role in not only helping you discover and be inspired by these things, but also helping you fulfill upon them, and turning that dream state into reality.
So great, and it's so spot on to everything we've all experienced. Was COVID and what we went through in the last year really the trend that led you to this, or did your path to social commerce and content commerce start before that, based on other trends you were seeing with your consumers?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we had already started, which was a great foundation for this, was our content affiliates program.
Right.
And so, when you think about we work with like over 1,500 publishers, over 10,000 influencers in a really scaled way. And that whole notion is to actually insert ourselves into moments of like high intent, right? Like when somebody
Mhm.
is searching for how to build that backyard pizza kitchen, right? And being in contextual placements where their mindset's already tuned into being receptive, and they're looking to actively consume content, not only for entertainment, but also for functionality, to
Mhm.
create something. And so we found that, we started this years ago, but that foundation has actually been something that's allowed us to almost subsidize our test and learn into other areas. And we call it protecting the base, because
Mhm.
that base is kind of the flywheel of always on activity that helps us grow our sales, that helps us engage with our customers at scale. We know there are certain things that work, and we continue to dial those things up and optimize towards those things. And on the other hand, there are things that we don't know work, that work in the social commerce
Yeah.
space, right? And in order to kind of help shape the territory and plant the flag, you've got to take that risk. But having that always on affiliates channel and program helps us to kind of keep the lights on while we test into something that might be a little bit more uncharted.
I love that loop. I mean, I'm sure there's so many marketers on the phone that are listening and thinking, yes, that sounds great, but how do we get into that? How do we do things that are outside the box and experimental? And it's great to hear how you're utilizing what you have already set to help you do new things and to branch into new territories. So I'd love to hear, can you start to give a couple examples or something that, to where are the consumers finding this type of content, and can you give us an example of something you've done?
Yeah, there's a couple of examples, but I'll probably just talk about one, which was definitely a big leap for us. And for anybody who wants to understand the kind of magnitude of the space that we're in and the potential for social commerce to grow, all you have to do is really look to China. And for China, it's a $315 billion market, and almost 12% of all e-commerce in China is direct social commerce. And I'm pulling this fact because I know my PR partners would kill me but I'm pulling this from eMarketer, but it is something that is ingrained in us, right? We know that there's a big potential. We know that our growth perhaps is lagging in the West to China in terms of adoption of social commerce. but it's still an industry that's expected to hit over $52 billion in 2023. Now, what's really interesting about that to me is that there's an aspect of that, which is live streaming. And live streaming itself is expected to hit $25 billion by 2023. And it's one of the fastest growing ways that we think consumers are combining entertainment with shopping. And so, one of the things that we've kind of taken a test and learn approach with by working with partners first is live streaming. And our partners, in many cases, have built-in audience scale. They themselves are building a roadmap that caters to e-commerce, and that's accelerating the e-commerce experience. They're growing their capabilities, they're iterating on top of it. And we had recently launched back in December, right before the holidays, the first shoppable live stream on TikTok in the US. Amazing. And it was, but I'll tell you, back then, we had 3 weeks to plan it. So that, show a little bit of it.
Do you want to show a little bit of it?
Well, yeah, we could show a little bit, and then I'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing, what we did.
Great.
Welcome. If you don't know what's going on, this is the Walmart Spring Shop Along Beauty Edition, and we are here shopping. We're showing you guys amazing products. We already did my skincare, which is why I'm glowing, but you can still grab the things we talked about before down here by tapping on the cart. Okay, now we're ready to dial up the glow with makeup. I want to do like a super glowy look, natural, but I think at the in the middle, I'm gonna build it up into something really cool and fun, and you guys are gonna see it's gonna be great. So let's start off. We want a nice base. We're going to start off with a primer. This is the Nyx Marshmallow Primer, and it is amazing. Whenever I'm using makeup on my skin, I want to use a primer because it makes my skin really smooth, great base, and it makes my makeup last all day. This one from Nyx doesn't just do those things, but it has 10 benefits.
So that was the wonderful Gabby Morrison, who we had actually worked with in our last live stream, which was in spring. And we did a kind of second edition of what we did around the holiday time period, what we call the Holiday Shop Along Spectacular. The second one in spring was the Spring Shop Along Beauty Edition. And we worked with Gary Morrison. We worked with another creator called Nabella. The first one, we worked with 10, very diverse TikTok creators. Michael Lee, who is one of the most popular TikTok creators out there. We worked with Avani, who we've partnered with in the past on fashion. And the great thing here is it is one of those things where when you start out, a lot of the times, you say, well, what are the case studies? What are the best practices? What are the learnings? How do I incorporate all of those things that those who have forged, before me have figured out and leverage that to create my strategy? And the thing that we were so excited about was the fact that none of that existed here in the US for TikTok, for a shoppable live stream on TikTok. And I sometimes think to myself, how often do you get to say that you have actually helped to create those standards and those best practices with the most downloaded social platform in the world right now? And so it was a little bit daunting, but at the same time, it was super exciting.
I mean, I think that's amazing because I think that's what so many marketers are always looking to Walmart. What are you doing to push the envelope? And that is really outside of that, big envelope, to do something that's first of its kind. I mean, that's just amazing. Are you willing to share any results or any learnings you had about who this appealed to and why?
Yeah, it definitely. And it definitely appealed to Gen Z. And Gen Z is a segment that is really accelerating the growth of social commerce right now. And I think there was something in a recent Shopify social commerce study where it's really about the fact that the pandemic is what kickstarted this kind of shift and acceleration into e-commerce. But it's going to be Gen Z that continues to drive that forward long after the pandemic is over. And so obviously working with TikTok, it's really the sweet spot there, which is a Gen Z and a younger millennial audience. We didn't start out with the mindset of driving sales. We gave ourselves permission not to do that because this was a test. This truly was a test. And we're fortunate enough to have leadership within Walmart that says, absolutely, do not handcuff yourself to having to drive sales. This is about learning. And so this wasn't about ROAS, not yet anyway. This, right, exactly. That's
Next one.
come. That will come, right. This really was about engaging with a younger audience and understanding signals that would indicate whether or not they had intent to shop. And intent to shop with us and whether they were engaged. And we were really pleased with what we saw. During the first event, we got 7 times more viewers than we had anticipated and projected. And we grew our TikTok followers by 25%, which was kind of like a side benefit, right? That wasn't our primary objective. Our second live stream back in March nearly doubled the previous viewership. Maybe even more than what the Oscars just got. I'm just kidding. No. And our follower growth.
That's
rate,
a low bar though, right?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And our conversion grew as well, but there's definitely things that we learned, things that, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the ugly stuff. And, we had a great conversation with Jason Goldberg, who's the chief commerce officer at Publicis, and he had said to me something that I loved, which is, in first mover opportunities, it's like the story about the dancing bear. It's not amazing that the bear is a great dancer; it's amazing that the bear can dance at all. And
I love that.
I love it. I use it when it seems right. I think that's the perfect kind of encapsulation of the freedom that you should give yourself, right, when you're testing and venturing into new territory like this. I think a few specific things that we had learned is there's got to be a reason for the time-bound nature of it. You've got to create FOMO through the experience, through the products. And maybe it's because it's the launch of something new, a new line. Maybe there's limited quantities. Maybe it's a really unique collaboration like what Elf Cosmetics did with Chipotle, which I thought was brilliant, and you can only get it through the live stream. Or it's a great bundling of products that a creator has curated or an expert in that space has curated. I think at the same time, you've got to look for ways to extend the long tail of sales and engagement after the live stream. One of the things that we did with our fashion live stream is we had to complete the look experience on our site where you could go and actually shop the things that would create a holistic wardrobe that you didn't get to see on the live stream. And so I think things like following up with tips and tricks on how to use those products well after the event is still useful and relevant to those who might not have even been able to join. I do think that there's, if you're going to work with creators in this space, you've got to balance it with their ability to sell. And there are, some creators that are fantastic at live selling in a way that comes across as authentic to their core audience and not too salesy, right? And they're still entertaining at the same time. The experience itself, we found to be really seamless. The fact that when you were shopping and you clicked on the cart or you clicked on one of those product pins, our page actually opened up on top of the experience. So you didn't abandon that core experience. And then the final thing that I would say that we learned is embrace being live. I think a lot of us are used to kind of these perfectly produced experiences, and you edit the ad libs, you edit the mistakes, you edit the things that may make you feel a little uncomfortable. But this embracing live and knowing that that's actually part of the magic of the live stream, the ad libs, the live Q&A, and being able to respond to what your audience is kind of saying at the time.
I love that because I think we couldn't be in a more real time, right? I think the Zoom world and quarantine has humanized us all. And so the child in there and the dog and the outside noise is just sort of part of it. And I think consumers are much more conditioned to that. And the Gen Z generation, of course, is the ones that love to be live, right? So they're the ones that love to see others in that sense. I just wanted to make one other point that I heard you say that I think is so important, especially to those listening, is the fact that you have leadership that gave you the chance to test and learn and just embrace that and to test and learn, because that's so much, there's so much innovation and disruption going on in our world today that testing and learning and finding those strategic partners and creators you can do that with is hard to do without being results driven, but as you've just demonstrated, so important to how you grow and learn and continue to move forward with that generation, that audience.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, Laura, because I think the expectations and the kind of KPIs that you set up for yourself, like, don't set yourself up for disappointment for sure. But don't set the kind of people who are making those macro budget decisions up for disappointment as well. And I think when you manage that, the fact that this isn't going to be something that you can hold up and compare to what search might drive or display paid social might drive, it's not going to be that same kind of ROAS or even measured against that same kind of success metric. I think that's an important, almost like non-written contract that you make with your stakeholders to really give it a chance to survive and not cut it off at the knees before it even has a chance to breathe, and to for us to learn and iterate upon what works.
Yeah, I mean, right now we all can say this. The only constant right now is change, right? And I think that's an age-old, thing that people say, but it's so true right now, right? Like, no one knows what the summer is going to bring. No one knows what tomorrow is going to bring. But, just kind of building on that, and with the world we've all been living in for 12 plus, going on 18 months now, how has Walmart thought about taking what you were just talking about into your kind of grocery commerce strategy? So how are you building off of the trends of seeing Gen Z be more consumable, and even seeing baby boomers be more consumable online, right? But what are you doing to reach them in this kind of new social and content commerce way, and capitalizing on the environment we're all in now?
Yeah, it's a great space for us. It's a great space for consumers right now. And I think it's one born out of the need and the desire for convenience and time back. Right. And that's probably not going to change. I think, there's a Mercatus report that came out. 41% of there's a 41% growth of new online grocery shoppers. But probably more importantly than that is, I think the pandemic has really fundamentally changed how we shop for groceries.
Mm-hmm.
And about 90% of current, online grocery shoppers are expected to continue to be online grocery shoppers. I do think that that's increased the expectation for us to provide convenience, for us to provide a more streamlined experience, for us to provide time, for us to help with your maybe tighter budget that everybody's operating under. And so, grocery has always been important to us, but we're continuing to evolve kind of the age-old question that we always try to answer with any programs that we do here, which is how do we help our customers, get a better understanding or better help for what to make for dinner, because that is a daily pain point. It's a daily stress. It's accompanied by, like, time spent on a daily basis trying to figure out what everybody's going to love. And so how can we be your trusted partner who can not only help you get the things you need at the lowest price, but help you find inspiration and maybe even enjoy part of the process along the way. And
what's that? I picked my children up yesterday at 5 p.m. and my oldest said, "Mom, what's for dinner?" And I blatantly said, "I don't know."
Right.
And it was 5 p.m.
Yeah, and this is where, we think that there's a way that we can help our customers. One of the things that we're excited about is our expanding partnership with Meredith. And one of the programs that we brought to bear is it's called Make It a Meal program. And this was about pulling in your localized price and availability for products in your local Walmart store, which saves you time and saves you a little bit of stress and the headache of having to make a shopping list. But it also helps you get more out of your dollar. And we had co-created tools like visual ingredient search, which really allowed you to almost take a picture of what was in your pantry, what was on your countertop, and find an easy trending recipe with it. We created recipe meal cards that showcase kind of like recipes that were trending in your area. And Meredith has a great AI kind of proprietary technology that helps you determine what's trending, and even using things like voice activation to search for ingredients, search for recipes with Google Home. And I think another important part of this, when we talk about this kind of streamlined and more seamless journey, is taking steps out of the process. And so one of the things that we've brought to life at scale is one-click shoppable recipes, where you get the inspiration, right? So you see the kind of video of the meal, and but then you're able in one click to actually add all of those ingredients to your Walmart basket. And you can make alterations, things that you want more, things that you want less of. But it saves at least 5 steps in the meal planning process, which is a huge value in terms of time back. And we've done this with Verizon, we've done this with Side Chef, we've done this with emails, we've done this with, and our foray, kind of our launch partner was BuzzFeed and Tasty, and we've got a good clip of what that looks like.
Let's watch the video. I think we'll pull it up here in just a second, but I do have to say, when we were talking about this conversation we were going to have, I was out to dinner with a few of my girlfriends. So I will tell you, this is only a focus group of 7, but 7 busy moms and parents, all when they said, well, what's content commerce? And I said, oh, it's where you get to watch a video and you click on it and all the ingredients go to your cart and you click and you can go pick it up or it can have it delivered. And they all went, oh, I need that. What do you mean? Where do I find it? So focus group of 7 moms, but seems
thanks for promoting our work, Laura, on your downtime.
Right. All right, let's watch the video. That certainly makes it look easy. I will say Walmart's making it look easy. The part at home, mine doesn't always look like the Tasty video, but I appreciate Walmart's effort to get me there. That's really great. I love what you guys are doing. Now, where do I find something like that? Will you guys, is this an ongoing strategy or something that you're looking at through tentpole events?
No, we're expanding this with even more partners, and obviously we're looking for ways to make it even more streamlined. And this is going to be part of our protecting the base strategy, because this is working for us. And I think it becomes even more interesting when you start thinking about how to incorporate trends and data and understanding what might take off. Apparently there's something called banana pudding cheesecake that is on the cusp of becoming I guess the whipped coffee trend of last year. Okay. But doing things like getting ahead of that and creating content around that quickly is something that we're excited about.
So you mentioned data and learning from your data. So how does data play a role in your social commerce strategy? Can you touch on that a little bit more, how you're, reach consumers in an environment where their path to purchase is evolving, or just, how are you using data from a learning perspective?
Yeah, I think there's obviously data that comes in, it's a treasure trove of data that comes from each of our partners. Things like time spent, things like products and categories that consumers are most interested in, things like demographics. And then what we layer on top of that is obviously what we know about our customers from how they've engaged and shopped with us. And this kind of helps us understand maybe the path of where we're going to be headed next. I do think, we keep our learning agenda flexible, because we don't necessarily know exactly, we chart it out for maybe the quarter ahead and think about the long-term things that we need to start building for. But we've got to keep that flexibility in there because we don't know exactly what is going to be the area that we should be focusing our resources on. And so one of the ways that we've helped kind of prioritize where to go is to actually think about it almost like a food pyramid. And we've created a content commerce pyramid, which kind of shows at the bottom, the things that consumers are voraciously consuming today, right? Like the things akin to a food pyramid, the things that you're supposed to eat a lot of, but where consumer engagement, consumer spend, consumer mindset is today. And then as you go up that pyramid, you get into more of those test and learn areas. The great thing is, though, those test and learn areas a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now will become the new base. And that's how we kind of chart the course of, along with all of data that we have in our partner data of where we're going to go next.
Love that. I mean, that's such a great analogy of how you're thinking about building for the future and just how you think overall about your consumers and using data to reach them and determining what's next. I wanted to just pivot out grocery for a minute because I think we're talking a lot about the consumer and just how you're changing your relationship with the consumer and how that everyone lives by a Walmart, and so Walmart is close to everyone's lives. And I wanted to talk about your camp program for a moment and how you chose the content and kind of the quality of content that you put into that program, because I think this is a really interesting approach to thinking about when you think about content commerce. How do you think about the quality and the type of content that needs to be involved in that in order for it to really touch a consumer?
Well, I will say, and you're about to see, I think, the last video that kind of brings this to life, but this was born out of, last year's summer being so different from any other summer that anybody's ever really experienced. But there's still that need to keep your kids entertained, to give them some semblance of normalcy out of everything that was going on. And so we thought we could play a really a key role here, a fun role here, in helping to kind of turn camp into a digital experience. And we had partnered with Camp, which is a family experience company, and a technology and a partner called Echo, which creates interactive content technology. And we have some fun celebrity guests that have made an appearance. Neil Patrick Harris was our camp counselor, and we've got some other fun camp counselors. So if you want to play the clip, we can see.
Walmart's about more than commerce. It's about people. Now, more than ever, we're creating a place that transforms consumers to active members of a community. We're elevating our platform to something much more emotional and much more fun.
Good morning, campers!
Our team of counselors will introduce today's daily interactive activities.
Tap me for arts and crafts projects.
Don't just craft. Make it awesome by customizing your projects.
I need your help.
Help decide what we're painting today and learn how to paint along. Engineer your own crazy contraption and so much more.
Today, we're making magic slime.
Hot tater.
We're gonna bust a move.
Maybe we get started with a little stretch.
This summer, camp will bring you activities from some of your favorite people. You never know who might show up. Camp is your family's destination for hours of fun. See something you want to do? Great! All the great products you'll need are a click away, making a seamless purchase experience. For suppliers, Camp introduces a new form of media within the Walmart ecosystem, bringing families closer to their products. With personalized interactive content releasing every day, Camp will continue to bring partnerships, goodwill, talent, merchandise, gift recommendations, recipes, and so much more. Because Walmart's more than just a store. It's a place to truly connect.
Happy trails, campers. See you tomorrow.
I gotta know, is there gonna be camp this summer? Because I got some kiddos that are gonna probably could use it.
Yeah, there is. We've kept that program on. It's actually an always on program, and it's no longer about camp, but it's still about family fun, and it changes with the season. So we had some great holiday and Thanksgiving sort of crafts and learning programs, and so this is a program that we're going to keep. And it's on your Walmart app if you want to experience it, but it did so well that we've kept it on year round.
Oh, that's amazing. I love hearing that. I mean, the groundbreaking work you guys have been doing and the convenience you've been providing to consumers in the last year is just amazing. You touched on this a little bit, but I think it's important with so many marketers on the phone. You guys have now sort of built this foundation of learning in social commerce. So what are you most excited to see to do next, or where are you excited to push the envelope next and kind of experiment in this space as it continues to grow?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great things that are happening around augmented reality and virtual reality that are taking it from what might have been kind of like a bright, shiny, fun, technology years ago to something that's going to be a lot more pervasive. Especially as we think about the rise of the homebody economy, where it's changing the way that we do things at home, and that includes shopping. And so I think virtual reality, augmented reality is an area that's going to help render what used to be perhaps like an in-person or an in-store experience to something that helps you get to that purchase decision through a digital experience. And so I'm excited about where that's headed. We've done a number of tests. I am excited about kind of connected home commerce. And we talk a lot about the grocery space, but and we all know when the Internet of Things has always been something that people have spoken about at CES, and but as we think about the fruition of the Internet of Things and a refrigerator that can talk to your digital recipe file and help you understand what you might be able to make with the ingredients that you have there or ingredients that you might need, that's a really interesting space as well. And then just bringing more of a creator partnership at scale. I think we've got great influencer relationships now, but perhaps what we don't venture into as much today and are excited about doing that is the creator video space, and thinking about leveraging influencers as kind of a new sales force for us, right? Like it's coming from their voice and giving them the flexibility to create content for us, and that they know is going to resonate most with their audience. Is that's where the magic and the authenticity comes into play, because we know Gen Z is adverse to ads. Like anything that sniffs of an ad, they are adverse to. They are programmed to block that out immediately.
That is true, for sure. I think you answered one of the questions I saw in the chat that was, when everything is back to normal, as we all like to say, how will your industry have changed permanently? And it sounds like a lot of the examples you just gave about, just bringing that, what used to be the in-store experience into the home and connecting with consumers. And so I love hearing, those are some of the ways that you guys are thinking about the future. Alan, I see you're back.
I am back. So I'm better than that sort of playoff music that they didn't have at the Oscars this year.
Right.
But thank you guys so much. This is really great. It's fascinating. I really had no idea, Jill, how much Walmart was doing. So this is like a real learning experience for me. So it's great. And just how much you're making, using data to make commerce happen. I mean, that's very cool. So it was, we tend to sort of focus more on the TV thing, but and you hear, for so many years, people have been trying to make this stuff work, and you guys have done it. So congratulations.
I wouldn't say we have, I mean, there's learnings and there are things that we are definitely not good at yet, right? But that's the whole journey.
What would be your foundational basics to share, just for the marketers on the phone that want to jump into social, just to end it up, for the marketers on the phone that want to try social commerce, what would be your kind of key, before they hit the ground running, what should they know?
I mean, one of them I think came through as I was talking about this, but don't let perfect be the enemy of good. We could have easily decided with our TikTok partnership, well, let's wait a little bit, but we, you know, in 3 weeks we had created the first shoppable live stream with them, and I'm not saying that that is the way that everybody should work all the time, but it does mitigate paralysis analysis. It does mitigate over questioning some decisions that are made, and it allows you to be first movers. So that's probably my best words of wisdom in this space.
Okay, and I'm going to repeat something that you said, Jill, which was that the thing about the dancing bear, right? It's not that the bear is a good dancer.